My name's David Stocks and I studied the MDes in Innovation and Creativity in Industry. I chose postgraduate study because I had done an undergrad in product design and I had done about a year's worth of experience as a product designer, and I found that I was going to be limited to the roles that I could acquire based on purely my undergrad. So I knew that I needed to expand my skill set and gain some different experience that was going to allow me to sell myself better. I heard about Cranfield when I met the course director at the New Designers exhibition in London. I was actually exhibiting my undergrad design project there, and the course director approached me and various other students who were exhibiting there and mentioned what the course was about, what it entailed, and it sounded like a great opportunity to achieve what I wanted to achieve and to broaden out in the ways that I had aimed to do. I chose the MDes as opposed to other masters that were on offer. I mean, I looked around at at UCL, the masters that they did in terms of innovation management and in the field, and this struck me as having the balance of management and creative and engineering and branding, the right balance that I was looking for. And I guess at other institutions you don't get the management credentials that you get at Cranfield, and that's since allowed me to sell myself in really effectively, because everyone knows about Cranfield for management, and if you've done certain parts of an MBA or certain management modules, then people are very impressed and it can go a long way. I think a key strength of the Masters is the exposure that students get to real companies and organisations who you work with collaboratively, both in the group project, which takes up a third of the Masters, and in the thesis project. So I worked with Procter & Gamble throughout my group project. This involved working on a collaborative, essentially packaging innovation project with them. And I was able to go to Brussels to do testing with real consumers. We went to some of their technical centres in the UK, up in Newcastle. While I was working on my thesis project, I actually worked at Ford for a few weeks and worked with the advanced product group who handle all the advanced planning of the innovations for a good 3 or 4 months. So I ended up being based in Leiden, where their UK centre is, and I was working with fairly senior people in the advanced product group to try to figure out their stakeholder management and how they gain buy-in for their innovations and new ideas. And this provided an excellent experience for me, because I now in my work on similar projects to this with Ford. So I was able to essentially carry on what I started at Cranfield and with Ford into my professional career. So that's been really positive. I would recommend the course to friends, to people who I know in the industry, especially people who are struggling to progress past a certain level in an organisation, whether it be as a designer. I mean, I think its main strength is that for designers to prove that they are more than designers, they need to do something like this, or otherwise you can end up being essentially an implementer of other people's ideas in a creative organisation, rather than having the strategic input that you'd want to give. Yes, I would definitely recommend Cranfield to friends and colleagues. I guess it's a great place to experiment and learn new skills and have the freedom to fail early. When you're trying on new projects, you've got to have freedom and encouragement to experiment and explore new ways of working, new ideas, and it's a great place because you're encouraged to have that freedom. In terms of transferable skills and the skills that I learned that I didn't have before and that my undergrad didn't touch on, I think it was the management skills, the engineering skills, the branding, marketing skills, and research skills were great additions to to what I could already do, and they almost allow you to broaden your offering on a project basis, because prior to doing postgrad study, I would approach it as a designer would, which is a great way of approaching it, but it's not the only way of approaching it. And I think the skills that I've learned allow me to approach it from the perspective of a designer, but also from a project manager, and from an engineer and from a marketeer. The only advice I've got for people going into postgrad study or, in particular this master's, is use the careers department, because from my experience anyway, they were extremely helpful, and the job that I've got now was based on a recommendation by them. It was based on recommendations about how to handle the application process, how to prepare for the assessment centre, and, literature to read, who to engage with, who to contact. So I would suggest getting in touch with the careers people as early as possible. So at the moment I'm working for WPP, who are the world's largest marketing conglomerate, and they own 150 agencies, employ 120,000 people, and I'm on their WPP graduate fellowship. This involves working for 3 separate agencies, 3 separate years in different cultures, different countries. And my first year at the moment, which I'm nearing the end of now, I've been working for Ogilvy in London, working as an account manager, which has been a great role for me because it's allowed me to go into the organisation in a relatively mid-level or more senior role than I would have been able to enter if I hadn't been on this particular graduate scheme. I think the course did help me immensely in acquiring the position I'm in now, because it gave me such a broad skill set and a broad exposure to different disciplines and different people, that I was able to prove to my prospective employers that I was going to be a broad enough thinker to succeed on a scheme like I'm on, where you're dropped in a mid-level position in different cultures, and in different organisations, and you have to be extremely adaptable. So working on a course that requires that proves to prospective employers that you can handle that kind of environment. In my current role, I do a lot of account management, client liaison, project management. So I work a lot with budgets, timelines. I lead my own projects, lead my own accounts, and liaise with clients directly over the problems they have on a day-to-day running of a project. So I think working with the MBA students in the taught modules and working in innovation management and project management in the taught modules gave me exposure and experience in how project management and dealing with these kind of project-related problems can be best handled. And I think that was extremely useful for me. During my thesis, I was working with Ford, and Ford were actually the advanced product group who I were working with, were kicking off a project looking into the role of the car in the urban environment. This project was started by Ford whilst I was there, and now I'm actually moving on to another agency that work with Ford on that very project. So it's almost learning to deal with that organisation and their specific projects they work on has given me a foot in the door in terms of getting into an agency that actually work with them. I think my long-term ambitions that I want to achieve within WPP and within marketing and design is really relevant to what I learned at Cranfield, because I'm looking to try and embed design thinking into the makeup of WPP and WPP agency creative process. So that's exactly what the course is geared up for. The course is geared up for providing people with the skills they need to embed design thinking in organisations that wouldn't conventionally use it. And that's exactly what I want to do and what I'm finding myself able to do with the skills that I've picked up on the Masters. As a result of taking this course, I'm now in an extremely fortunate position where I'm going to be able to travel the world with work over the coming years. So I've done my first year in London, I'm moving to Paris for my next year in a different agency, and then I'm either going to New York or Shanghai the year after that to work within WPP agencies and to get exposure to the different cultures. And I certainly wouldn't have been able to get into this position had I not acquired the skills I needed to prove that I could do it.